I'm back out here in the corral today with the goal of finishing the project that I tried to do the other day. If you guys remember, or if you missed that video, I was trying to do this and I decided that it was just too windy to try to do any sort of welding or metal work in the corral when I'm standing right here next to the hay barn and the wind was blowing towards it. Not only is it a little bit dangerous to be welding in the wind and, you know, the potential is there for a spark to carry over to that hay barn, but it's actually not very fun to weld in the wind either, because as you're trying to weld, the wind messes with your arc and it just makes things behave in a way that you're not used to. Today is a much nicer day. I think we've only got like 4-mile-an-hour winds, which is basically nothing. So I don't see any reason why I can't get this done. That's what's going on today on Farmertylerranch. I've got all the horizontal pipe cut that is going to be welded in between these two posts. You might have noticed if I showed it, who knows how the editing will go, but I've got 4 2 3/8 pipes and then 1 2 7/8 pipe. So the larger diameter 2 7 is going to be the top rail here, and a couple reasons for that. The first one is that I didn't have enough 2 3/8 pipe to do 5 here. That's probably the big reason why it's going there. But the more I started thinking about it, and the more I decided that, yeah, having the larger diameter, stronger pipe on the top rail in this part of the corral is probably a good idea, because this is where I would say most likely for somebody to try to jump a fence would happen. So it might one day be really nice to have that stronger pipe on top. So if a cow happens to land on top of it, less likely to bend. Now that all that's cut, I'm starting to think about my cross braces. The one that is going to go from this white square tubing over to the post that we just put in is fairly straightforward. It's just a straight cut on one side where it welds up to the square, and then we'll notch it on this side where it welds up to the pipe. I've got a piece of 2 7/8 pipe that will fit here perfectly, so I'm not worried about this at all. On our other cross brace, we've got our tall post here, which is good, and then on the other side, the post that it needs to meet up to is short. So when I put this post in, I wasn't thinking about having a gate frame here, and since that time I've decided that I need one. So it's not a big deal, we can fix this, but what I'm gonna have to do is cut a short piece of 2 7 and then weld it to this pipe to extend that up, therefore making 2 tall posts that I can weld a cross brace to. So I've got this drop piece from when I cut the posts out. This is a 6-footer that I thought I would never have a good use for, and look at that, we're using it. That looks pretty good to me. That looks pretty good, and I think the entrance to this alleyway is a lot more inviting now than it was before. And you can imagine how much better it will look still once I'm able to take this post out of here and, you know, maximize the width that I've planned for. I can't do that quite yet though, because this post is what catches the gate, and I'll have to build a custom gate here because this will be sort of a weird width. I don't plan on making a custom gate for this year. I mean, you never know, I might end up doing it, but more than likely that'll be next year's project. I think that's about as far as I'm gonna get with this today. I'm gonna get everything cleaned up and then look around. I see I've got a little smoldering, not a fire, but the weeds are smoldering, so I want to make sure that I find all of that sort of thing and get those put out and put to bed so that I can come back and finish this up tomorrow. It's the next morning now. Let's see if we can get this done. And it looks like today the inspectors showed up, so I better do a good job. Somewhere around here. Yeah, this is not gonna be fun. There. That wasn't so bad. Oh, it's gonna be... Always an audience. Curious, curious, curious. As you can see, this panel is going to need a little bit of modification to fit in here better than what it is. The idea is to get rid of this wooden post and then have the end of the panel kind of meet right up here with the square post, and that'll give it a good place to latch. I need to make some sort of a hinge over here to hold this up off the ground and out of the dirt, and then, you know, it'll make it a lot easier to open and close at the same time. So basically what all that means is that I need to run back home and get some other tools, because I'm going to need some different things to modify this to get it the way that I want it. So let's go do that. The first thing that I'm going to need is some sort of a hinge for that gate, and I'm just going to go with a really simple design that I've tried before and it seems to work well. Got my 2 hinge pieces finished and my long saw blade. I think that's all I need. If you're wondering why I cut this post off instead of yank it out of the ground, the reason is I tried to pull it out the other day with the loader and this post just would not budge. And as I kind of am thinking back, I think when I set this steel post, some of the concrete or possibly all of the concrete on that side of the hole went up against the wooden post, if that makes sense. So I don't know if the concrete's kind of holding it in there or what the deal is, but I decided I'll just cut it off at ground level, and if it becomes a problem later on, I can dig it out, or, you know, I think it'll be fine like this. Next step is I need to start hacking up this panel. Basically, I've got to shorten this by a couple of feet, and I think what I'm gonna do is instead of hang it on this existing 1 1/4" pipe, I'm gonna get a piece of the 2 3/8 pipe and use that as the end of this. We'll just start calling it a gate now, because that's what it's gonna be. And the reason that I wanna do this is because I am unsure about whether or not this gate made out of 1-inch pipe is going to be heavy duty enough, and there's the potential that sometime in the future I might want to build a whole new gate out of 2 3/8 pipe that's a little bit heavier. So by making the end of this new gate out of 2 3/8, then if I want to replace the gate, the hinge will be right for the new one. And if I never replace it and leave it like that, then it'll just be stronger. First step, I guess, is I gotta take this thing down, get it over there where I can work on it a little easier. The tricky thing about cutting into a closed circle with these portabands is a lot of times the metal is under stress, and when you make your cut, it like pinches the blade. What I do is I'll cut each one of these right up to the end, right before the blade's gonna pop through, and I'll do them all that way so that it lessens the chance of that blade getting stuck. So now that I've got this end cut off, hopefully very straight, we can go ahead and start making our piece that will be the vertical part of the gate. What I'm gonna do to make this is take 2 of my 2 3/8 drop pieces and weld them together and then cut them to length. And that way we utilize those pieces, and I think it'll be plenty strong enough for this. Well, it took a little bit of adjusting and tweaking things to get it right, but it looks pretty straight now, so let's go ahead and weld it together. Got everything cut, ready to go, and now kind of the hard part is figuring out how to hold all this together while I weld it. So I'm not really sure how I'm going to do it, but just kind of keep messing around until something works, I guess. here for a test drive. Alright. Works like a gate. I'm about spent for today. We're pretty much done with all of this. The bulk of it is done. The last thing I've got to do is fill in this little gap here, but that's gonna have to wait for tomorrow. Today's a new day. Let's see if we can get this done. Some people would probably stop there, but I'm not some people. It's pretty good, but I think it could be better. Well, dare I say it, I think I'm done. What started out as me just replacing the south fence on the corral turned into then replacing this corral fence on the alleyway here and the other fence on this same alley. And while I was in the spirit of fixing up the corral, I added some reinforcement to this post that's been needing it, and a few little fixer-up jobs here on the loading alley. I honestly did not plan on doing this much work to the corral this year, but it needed it, and now that it is done, I'm pretty happy actually. Thanks for hanging out with me today, guys, and I hope I'll see you again on Farmer Tyler Ranch.